Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie. This is a 23 books I am planning to read in 2023. I've already filmed this twice on two separate days with entirely different books. I don't know why I keep stopping this video, but I'm gonna try a third time and we'll see if it sticks. This is actually kind of a twist on a 23 and 2023 video. I was watching Meredith from Reading with Merb's video. It was her A to Z challenge where she puts a timer on and she sees how many books she can find alphabetically on her bookshelf. And this is not that video. So if that sounds really exciting, I'm sorry I teased you, but you can go watch that video down below. While she had that on, I was looking at all of my books and I noticed that I had 23 of the 26 letters, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's how I'm going to build my 23 in 2023 TBR.
Wow. Crazy. You're crazy, girl.
I have since put all the books away, so now I'm gonna go get them. Sorry. Or maybe I'll just film as I'm getting it. Okay, let's start with A. Okay, A, I'm gonna go with Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. And I read one other Tiffany D. Jackson. I read it in September. It was The Weight of Blood. I gave it 5 stars. Absolutely loved it, but was also infuriated just with all the bullshit that was happening in that town. Oh my God. And so I am excited to read this. I believe this is Tiffany D. Jackson's first published novel, but I'm sure it's gonna be just as frustrating. So I am nervous. I actually don't know what it's about, so why don't we find out? Oh my God. How did I not read this? Okay, the first sentence on the back is, Mary B. Addison killed a baby. I should not be laughing, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Okay, it looks like when Mary, our main character, was 9, she and her mother were babysitting a white baby. The baby died and this little girl was convicted of the murder. And so she's been in prison. I think she's an adult now and she has her own baby. Someone's trying to take it, or I don't know what's happening. Also, if you hear someone yelling, as always, it's gonna be my husband playing video games. I'm so sorry. So it looks like it's gonna be obviously all about mother and children. I feel like I love those stories because I have mommy issues myself, but I am a little nervous because if no one believes this girl, I'm gonna kill myself. I probably shouldn't say that. I'm gonna put my little stack of books right over here and we can watch it grow. Okay, next is B. I think you know how the alphabet works, but I think I'm gonna remind you of it the entire video, I'm sorry. I mean, this has to be Babel, right? This is Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is the author of the Poppy War series, which I have not read, honestly, because it sounded so confusing and historical. This is also historical. It's set in 1828. It's about a young man who goes and studies at Oxford University in England, and there's a Tower of Babel, and there's something about silver making. It's like fantasy. They get powers, or I really don't know what's going on, people. I'm not going to try to pretend I do. But I know it also has a lot to say about colonialism and racism, and I feel like I am interested in reading about this in this sort of academic setting. And also, I've heard a lot of people's reviews on this, which is weird because I can't really tell you what this is about. But I have noticed that a lot of people say that the characters are really rich and really, you really get attached to them. And so I am very excited to read this, even more so because it's complicated to read. It's kind of, oh, there's someone looking at me. Ooh. It's the kind of book where I'm excited to get my sticky notes and my pens and my highlighters. And it's the kind of book I feel like I'm going to enjoy the context of as well as the act of reading itself. Okay, next is C. I've had this on a couple TBRs now. This is a nonfiction all about cults. I love this cover. I feel like this would be really interesting to read about, and I have heard great things about this from everyone who's read it. Well, not every single person who's read it, obviously, but the people I know who've read it really liked it. Plus, I feel like nonfiction is the perfect genre to read a little bit at a time and still retain all the information. And sometimes it's even better because you can reflect on each chapter or each point that the author is trying to make. D is next. I love how I filmed this 2 times and I totally forget where everything on my shelves is and what books I even picked last time. Oh, I forgot to say, these titles can't start with A or the. The house across the lake does not count for H or T. I don't know if that makes sense to you right now, but those are the rules. Okay, this could be a mistake because I DNF'd the first book in the series. However, I really want to get to Daisy Hates in 2023. I gave Magnolia Parks 2 stars. However, I read the entire book, which is about the same size as this, and I didn't DNF it, and I think that's saying something. Plus, this book follows completely different characters within that same sort of world. And I remember hearing people say that this is a little bit more plot than the first one, which is just about a toxic relationship. There is sadly no description of this. However, I know it revolves around Daisy Hates, whose family I think is like in the mob or something like that, like a drug lord family or something. And then I'm pretty sure the love interest is just this random dude that was in the first book. I don't know, we'll see. This could be a disaster or I could really like it, who knows. Okay, E, I'm gonna choose Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, and Lotta from Lotta's Nook kindly gave this to me as a gift, so thank you so much, Lotta. I love you. This is a childhood friendship to lovers, second chance romance, and it all takes place in summer, I believe. Oh my god, this book is so soft, Lotta. I've heard it a lot compared to Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, which is also a childhood best friends to lovers, second chance romance. And I read it last month. I really enjoyed the past story, not so much like the present timeline. However, some people say they like this more, which makes me curious. And I went and I watched a spoiler video. So I know what happens in here, and weirdly, that is what made me want to read this. The spoiler is what made this go on my TBR. So I don't care that I was spoiled. Again, that's like why I'm kind of more interested in this. What is happening? That guy was running around with like a fire extinguisher. That can't be good. Okay, F is next, and I know I only have like 1 or 2 books that are F words. Oh my god, I thought I wasn't recording this whole time. I got really scared. I think I have to do it. I will commit to finally reading Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I don't know why I'm putting this off. This is gonna be great. I've had this on so many TBRs this year, as you'll see for a couple books, I think. This is obviously the classic story, I think, of a Dr. Frankenstein who makes a being. And I think the story itself is fascinating. I love stories, as I've learned this year, about things being created by other people and then them having to like figure out their identity and how they fit into being controlled but also being of their own will and stuff like that. But I'm also really fascinated by Mary Shelley's life and her journey of writing this book and writing in general. So I don't know why I'm putting this off. Recently, Monica over at Dog-Eared Musings read one of my favorite books of the year, Our Wives Under the Sea, and she said if you like that book, you should read Frankenstein. So that is definitely why I'm putting this back up there. I need to read it. For G, I'm going with Gideon the Ninth. Again, it's been on several TBRs this year. This is all about lesbian necromancers exploring a haunted Gothic palace in space, which is why I picked it up, which is why it's been on those TBRs, and I don't know why I haven't read it yet. It sounds amazing. If you do like this book or you're interested in this book, Jordan over at Jordan Reads has an entire video of why you should read this series, which is so cool and is really motivating, and I'll have to rewatch it before I start this book. Okay, H is next. H is gonna be Hidden Pictures. I got this because Eliza over at Eliza's Bookshelf actually said it was very scary, and I read a very scary book recently that I need a little break from scares, but once I'm back in the mood, I'm excited for this. I think it has to do with like a creepy kid. This is a creepy and warm-hearted mystery about a woman working as a nanny for a young boy with strange and disturbing secrets. Scary. Next is I. I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna go with If I Survive You by Jonathan Escoffery. These are short stories but revolving around the same family, and I've realized that that is one of my favorite types of short stories that I didn't even know existed until this year. So it's all about this family. They moved to the 70s in Miami and they're fleeing from somewhere, it doesn't say, but they're Black immigrants. And then it goes through all of the decades that this family is going through, including there's that guy again, including through Hurricane Andrew, the 2008 recession, and it says living in a house so cursed that the pet fish launches itself out of its own tank rather than stay. That made me laugh so hard when I read this today. Well, it didn't make me laugh so hard. I'm not like insensitive to fish, I'm sorry. But I'm glad to see here on the back that it says it's heartwarming and funny. And so I'm hoping that there is some dark humor in here because it seems like this is gonna be heavy, but like funny. I just said the same thing like 3 times, so I'm excited to read this. J is next. And yes, the further along we get in the alphabet, I'm gonna have to sing the song. I'm picking Jade City by Fonda Lee, which I'm sure you've all heard of and have read. I've been putting this off for several reasons. First, it sounds a little too high fantasy for me. I'm still a little new to adult fantasy, and it sounds like this is gonna be really political, not just because of a new fantasy system or world building or whatever, but also because this is a mob story. And I feel like mob stories often deal a lot in politics and who needs to pay off who and what territories everyone, and I don't know, that just doesn't sound so fun to me. However, everyone loves this book and I want in. I'm hoping that the real strength in here is the characters and like this family, and you really get to love or hate them and grow really attached to them. That's the kind of fantasy I'm looking for. Okay, next is K. I feel bad for the amount of times I said I was gonna read this year, but 2023, I mean it. It's Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro, and I need to read this. This has been a 5-star prediction, so maybe that's why I've been putting it off, because I have such high expectations. I've already started it. Well, I started like 11 pages of it. This is about an AI named Clara, and I think she gets sold to be like a friend to a child. That's my understanding of what happens. The reason I'm so excited for this is because something else I've learned about myself this year is that I love stories. Oh wait, I already said that. As I said when I was discussing Frankenstein, is that I really love stories about beings that are, what's it called? Sentient or conscious? Oh God, talking is so hard sometimes. I like created beings that the owner has some weird ownership over, but the discussion of like how they're gonna be their own person. I feel like that's a really powerful thing. Yes, Clara and the Sun, I want you. I didn't mean that sexually, I'm sorry. Oh. Ooh, Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. So earlier this year, I read The House Across the Lake, and I was pleasantly surprised. I had so much fun with that book. There's like a real big twist that I didn't see coming, and it was my kind of twist. Because I like that so much, I decided that I wanted to read some more of Riley Sager's books, not this one, because I did DNF that. And I feel like most people have talked the best or the highest of Lock Every Door. And this is a story about a woman who gets a job as an apartment sitter. Another apartment sitter in the building goes missing. I don't know how many apartment sitters are just running around apartments. I had no idea that was even a thing. And our main character begins to suspect that there are dark forces at work. So I'm guessing like some creepy, weird shit starts happening. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N is next. Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. This is actually suggested to me in one of my videos by Amber over at Kubria's Callings, and it's all about this young woman who's growing up in the 70s. I love the 70s, mostly because every book that I've read set in the 70s has to do with like rock stars and sex and drugs. And in high school, that was just like my shit. I mean, I didn't do drugs, I promise. I literally just read about people doing drugs instead of doing them myself. So our main character is 14 years old, and she gets a job as a nanny for the local doctor. I mean, she's not the doctor's nanny, she's the doctor's daughter's nanny. And I think our main character lives this like cookie cutter life. It's very nice, but maybe boring. And it turns out that this doctor is actually a psychologist, and one of the doctor's patients is this crazy rock star. And the doctor invites the rock star to stay at his house. And so the daughter is going to be introduced to a lot, and I don't know how dark or serious this gets, but I'm excited for our main character to learn some things, learn things about herself, and hopefully come out of it feeling good, feeling more whole. I'm hoping for an intense story. I feel like if I were reading this in high school, I'd want it to get really dark, but kind of as an adult, I want it to be uplifting. I want this girl to be okay. It's so funny because I feel like I always say I don't like books about famous people. The one exception that I have is if it's about rock stars in the 70s. Only the 70s. If it's in the 80s, it's just not the same. And it's gonna be Now Is Not the Time to Panic by Kevin Wilson. And I read Nothing to See Here earlier this year and absolutely loved it. And so of course I have to read his newest book. It actually sounds kind of similar to Nothing to See Here, besides the children bursting into flame. I think this is about two teens who befriend each other, and it says it's about how they collide one fateful summer and the art they make that changes their lives forever. I have no idea what that means, but I'm hoping it's some sort of magical element. And I think this also does the thing where 20 years go by and they have to deal with something. I'm hoping for the same sort of writing that was in Nothing to See Here, which was heartwarming, funny, but like kind of in a cynical way. I don't know. I love that book. I don't want my expectations to be too high with this though, so I need to like calm down. I think I only have one O book, and it just happens to be one I'm really excited to read. It's Our Missing Hearts by Celeste Ng. I did read Little Fires Everywhere. I want to read her other book. What is it? Everything I Never Told You. But this, I think this is slightly in the future, or it's just in some fucked up alternative universe, but it's about our main character who's a boy. I think he's 14. He's 12. His dad is a librarian and his mom was an author. And I think when he was 9, she left the family for unknown reasons. At the time, the government has put a ban on anything seen as like unpatriotic. And so his mother, who I believe is Chinese American, wrote a lot of poetry about that, and all of her work has been banned. The boy finds like a note from his mom. It just says he receives a mysterious letter containing only a cryptic drawing. He's pulled in a quest to find his mother. And so there's like this mystery happening. There's this parent-child relationship happening. But I'm also very interested in seeing, obviously this is gonna have a lot to discuss about racism, colonialism, but also censorship and everything involving that. So I feel like I'm gonna get so much out of this book. Next is P. Okay, I'm putting Pachinko on here by Min-Jin Lee. And I am so excited to read this because I've heard nothing but good things about this book. But I am so severely intimidated by it because it's historical fiction. It's like a sweeping generational saga all about this family, 4 generations of this poor, proud immigrant family fighting to control their destinies, exiled from a homeland they never knew. And it starts in the 1900s. I am intimidated by historical fiction, which is stupid because I feel like whenever I do read historical fiction, I end up falling in love with it and I get so much out of it. I'm also intimidated because it's a chunker. But yeah, never heard a bad thing about Pachinko, and I think they made a TV show about it on like Apple TV, so I definitely want to read this before I see that. Q is for Queenie by Candace Carty Williams, and I bought this originally. I'm never gonna do this video. I keep like hinting at it, still haven't made it. I was gonna do a video on books that are similar to some of my favorite shows, and I was reading online about books like Fleabag, which is one of my all-time favorite shows, and Queenie was like the #1 recommended. So that gets me very excited and makes me think that this is going to be about, I don't know, like gut-wrenchingly sad, but also so funny. That's what I'm hoping for. Apparently Queenie has issues with her boyfriend, her family, her boss, and her friends. And she keeps finding herself wondering, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And who do you want to be? I'm excited to see what answer she comes up with and how she comes up with those answers. Okay, next is R. R is gonna be Reward System by Jem Calder. These are, again, short stories. I think they're involving the same people, but it's very vague. I can't tell. Apparently this is all about work, relationships, and the strange loop of technology and self. And I just love this cover. I haven't really heard anyone's opinions on this, so excited to form my own. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say. I feel like I have to have this huge excuse of why I'm putting these books on my list, but they're just like on my TBR and I want to read them. Next is S. I'm gonna pick Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. And I've been recommended Sea of Tranquility, one of her other books, so many times this year, and I'm so excited to get to it, but I feel like I really need to start with her first published book, especially because Sea of Tranquility, apparently part of that story is about an author whose first work was really widely I don't know, it was really popular and the author felt kind of like stuck in that. So I feel like it's sort of autobiographical and I want to read this author's, Emily St. John Mandel's, first really big, huge, widely received, is that what the phrase is called? Anyway, this is about an airborne toxic event that ends up being a pandemic. And it's so funny because I think she wrote this in 2014 or 16? 2014. I think it's so funny now that we've had a pandemic to read about all of these pandemic stories that were written before COVID. I don't know, it's just creepy but cool. Next is T. Okay, for T, I have This Is How You Lose a Time War by Max Gladstone, and Meredith kindly gave this to me. Thank you so much. It's way smaller than I thought it was gonna be, which is surprising because so many people talk about, oh my god, look at this author's picture. Oh, it's 2 authors. Are they married? I'm gonna cry if they're married. If they're not, they're obviously best friends, because who else would take pictures like that other than best friends? Oh, that makes me even more excited. Anyway, yes, this is one of the most confusing books I hear, but I'm so excited because it sounds like the kind of confusing that is like secretly for me. I believe it's about 2 people in 2 different sort of like alternate dimensions or realities. I really don't know. I guess I'll find out. And I think they somehow find a way to communicate with each other. I'm just so ready for this. So thank you, Meredith. QRSTU. Oh yeah, I don't have U or V. So if you have recommendations for books that start with U or V that don't start with the or A, let me know down below. I also don't have a Z, so we're left with Y here. Yo, this is so embarrassing because I'm editing this video and I missed 2 letters. As you probably know, because you know the alphabet. Oh my god. I have W and X, so let me choose a W. I'm gonna go with Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell, and this is like an arranged marriage, I think in space, or maybe they travel to space. I don't know what's going on, but it's sci-fi related. So there's a prince and a count. There's a murder and a conspiracy unfolding around them. They don't want to get married, but I think they team up to like solve this mystery. Is that what it's about? I don't know. I'm just ready for them to fall in love. And apparently the second book that came out, I think this year, is also very good. And it's in the same world, but not following the same characters. So I think you can read them in standalones, but I'm a completionist. I need to start from the beginning. And then X, I only have one book. XOXO by Axio. I'm a little nervous for this, I'm not gonna lie to you. I bought it after I read The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, same author. And I like this book a lot, like how it was written. I didn't think the magical elements, this is a fantasy, I felt like it wasn't super clear and there wasn't enough time to really delve deeply into it. And I said that I wanted to read something by Axio that wasn't fantasies to see if like maybe I would like it a little bit more. And this is, I believe, maybe her first book, I don't know, but it's about a girl and she meets a dude and I think they hit it off. She moves to South Korea. Turns out he's a K-pop star. And that's what I'm nervous about. I'm nervous about the fame element because I have not always enjoyed that in especially a YA book, so I am very nervous. However, I'm definitely gonna give it a chance again. I really liked Axio's writing style and how what? Okay, it's getting too late. How descriptive and beautifully like lyrical her writing was. So definitely gonna give this a chance, but I don't know if I'll vlog it because if I don't like it, I don't wanna like talk about it. So we're left with Y here. I've had this in several TBRs again. This is Young Mungo by Douglas Stewart. I'm so excited for this, and I think the reason I've been putting it off is because I'm so scared something tragic is going to happen here. This is about two boys who fall in love and they live in Scotland, and I think in the 1990s, maybe the 80s. I don't know. It says it's historical fiction according to Goodreads, which makes me so sad that even the 80s would be considered historical. Anyway, I believe that they both belong to kind of small religious communities, and their family is also very religious, but I think different religions, so that besides just being gay in the 80s, they're gonna have some sort of turmoil or forbiddenness to their love because of their religion. I did read a tiny bit of this, and our main character, Mungo, was sent, I think after some events happened, with these sort of like hulking men to go bond with them. I don't know. I'm just scared that this boy is gonna be in danger, and I'm scared. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's uplifting, and maybe it's just this beautiful love story with a tiny bit of high stakes. I guess I'll let you know because I need to read it either way. And this is it, folks. This is the 23 books I plan to read in 2023. I will not pick them up because I have zero strength in my entire body. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these and hype me up. You could even tell me why you hated some of these because I feel like sometimes that makes me want to read things even more. Let me know if you have recommendations for books starting with Z, U, or V. And yeah, thank you for watching. I know I haven't been uploading vlogs because work has been absolute bananas this month, but I'm starting one today. Fire! We'll see. Knock on wood. That's not wood. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.